Good afternoon, good morning, or maybe even good night, wherever you're watching in the world. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Investing Bros. We're going to have a doozy of an episode here, folks. It's going to be really interesting. We've got some crazy news coming in from The Wire. We'll be covering it all and more. Where is Tim? Tim is actually, he's tending to some things. He had to take a step away from the show this morning. So, I'll be taking it from here. But he's doing great. No threat to bodily injury. No serious threat. He's just got to tend to some important matters. And we're going to move on. So let's get into the stories here, guys. Binance is getting the earth beneath it absolutely rattled as its CEO, CZ, steps down as Binance's CEO and pleads guilty. We're going to get into what those charges are, what he's pleading guilty to, what the implications are for Binance and for the industry. We're going to cover it all here on Investing Bros. I'm T. Shrooman, and thank you so much for tuning in. Throughout the video, I'll ask you to like and subscribe. I don't feel like I've earned it yet, so make sure that later on when I ask you to like the video, if you feel like you've gotten some value, please go ahead and leave a like. And if you're joining us for the first time, also consider subscribing. All right, let's start off with the charts here. You can take a look here at Binance Coin rejecting off the dynamic reactor on the weekly. Now, it's done this for 3 weeks here, but you can see that this has kind of been the battleground just above, just between the top line and the midline of the Bollinger Bands, kind of playing a little bit of tiptoe there, trying to figure out which way it wants to move. It had broken out this week to the upside, was going to be resuming upwards, but now has actually flipped that and made a move lower. Green histograms waning here, deceleration on the MACD. Those MACD lines haven't quite caught up yet to what's going on, so those are still pointing up and to the right. And then your Ichimoku oscillator is firmly in the bear. Well, it's actually in the bear zone, not bear point of control here. Once it makes its way to that midline and crosses up, then it's back in the bull zone, but not in the bull area of control. So that's Binance. That's the long and short of it there on the weekly. Zooming into the daily chart, you can see that chaos is starting to ensue, but it's really not that bad. Got to be honest with you. The price for Binance is remaining somewhat resilient. Okay, it wicked down to the dynamic reactor here on the daily chart. The MACD lines are now pointing downward, right? But that's been happening for a little while. This isn't a sudden change. Okay, the Ichimoku indicator has left the bullish zone of control on the daily here again for Binance. But I've got to say, I think that the market is apt in its assessment that the actual company, Binance, may not suffer any more consequences than the $4 billion that it's going to owe to the DOJ. That Binance itself may not be going anywhere. At least that's what the charts are indicating. That's what the market is predicting here based on the price per coin of Binance remaining, above 200, honestly. Right? CZ, however, we don't know what his future is. So far, the term that's being used is stepped down, right? He's not fired by the board like Sam Altman. He's not quitting, right? He's stepping down. It kind of reminds me of what Michael Saylor did over at MicroStrategies, right? He stepped down from the CEO position. Now that shook the market, that rattled the market, that had a lot of questions to be answered there. So far, that's turned out pretty well for MicroStrategies. Everything seems to be business as usual. But I remember when the week that happened, that was a pretty big deal. So we're seeing the equivalent happening today. Now, there's some different circumstances, obviously, because CZ is also pleading guilty to some criminal charges, as his company, his baby, also does the same. And we're going to get into those in just a few seconds. Let's go ahead and look at the Bitcoin charts, because Bitcoin is also telling quite a story here. You can see this regression trend was broken out of, now this was days ago now, but it was broken out Sunday, right at the beginning of the week. A lot of optimism. What was happening then? Something that we'll come back to as well, but Javier Milei wins Argentine presidency, right? Bitcoin gains nearly 3%. So that's what was going on at the beginning of the week, right? For us to break out of this up and to the right, uptrending regression trend, right? Now, what has happened is it made that support, made an attempt to push higher up into the premium zone from chart prime, right? Didn't even really get up and wick into that premium zone, turned around, came back down, sliced back into that regression trend. Will we find support down here at 378 in terms of 4-hour candles closing? That's probably, the highest probability at this point. However, I will bring to your attention right here, these wicks, this is Bitcoin, on the 4-hour, these wicks did come down to 36,251, and this one was 36,356, right? And you should be well aware of that if you're tracking Bitcoin in the daily. This is just the 4-hour, right? But and we're getting a little bit of movement here, even now. But what you'll notice here is right at the midline of the Bollinger Bands here on the 4-hour is where this battleground has taken place. Now, why do I say battleground? Well, take a look at this candlestick, this last 4-hour candlestick from today. Okay, look at the wicks on these candlesticks, right? You've got one that is 1.5, call it 1.5 to the upside, another that is another 1.5, okay? Equidistant, right? What does that tell you? That tells you that this is an all-out tug of war for this level, and, obviously this level is coinciding with the midline of the Bollinger Band for the 4-hour. Now, it came in under it, okay? And now the next candle that's printing here is selling off. Right, so we're seeing a move to the downside for Bitcoin as it's going to make a move down here to try to close at the bottom of this regression trend. That would put it at 36,781, okay? A move back up, also very likely after this close down here, but as we've seen in the last two 4-hour wicks, you could see some movement through this uptrending line of support put in by this low, this low, this low, and now the regression trend. That is an algorithmically generated indicator. All right, so that's what's going on the charts. It's down and to the right, Bitcoin's price. Let's go ahead and dot our I's and cross our T's here. We're getting accelerating histograms to the downside here from the MACD. Got a bear cross, right? Had a lot of good momentum. MACD lines were pointing up and to the right, okay? Then you get the correction here, okay? And then you get a movement to the downside. A big tug of war for that midline of the Bollinger Band on the 4-hour, and then a resumption downward, okay? And now, the rest is going to be up to the future. We'll see. We'll see what happens. You're also seeing on the Ichimoku has left the bullish zone of control. It's now just in the bullish zone, okay? So that's the 4-hour for Bitcoin. Zooming out a bit to the daily chart, you can see that this current day candle that we are in, and I'll go ahead and remove that regression trend. The current day's candle wicked perfectly on the midline of the Bollinger Band for the daily chart. It would now it's basically trading between the top line premium zone and that midline of the Bollinger Band. So we shall see what ends up happening. The MACD on the daily chart does not know what to do. It's very confusing. It is accelerated, decelerated, now is reaccelerating to the downside. I will point out that on the daily, we're still under a green trend assist. That won't change until 34,258. Okay, that gives you a bullish bias. That means that bulls are still not in control, but bulls are still moving the market. They still have a lot of influence. Once we break back down through that, then you'll know something's up. Something in the market has changed, right? Folks are selling. Right now, there's just not enough motivation to sell. We're going to go through the news and we're going to see what is motivating some sells. But right now, there's not enough motivation out there to let go of Bitcoin. Okay? And if you take a look at Binance Coin, there's really not a ton of motivation to let go of Binance Coin either. It hasn't even broken through the dynamic reactor on the daily chart. Okay, much less the trend assistant that would put it at $229 per Binance Coin. Okay. So that's Binance and that's Bitcoin. Binance really kind of the scene, really the main coin here to talk about today. as it is the subject of the DOJ investigation here that is now coming to a head. But there are some other coins. Matic is down 7.6%. Okay, that's not good. HBAR down 9%. Okay, Cake down 8%. Okay, you're seeing some selling off here. Let's look at the broader context. Gold and silver up 1.1 and 1.2% respectively. Silver up marginally higher. Your mega cap tech stocks coming in mixed. Microsoft, Apple heading lower. Amazon leading lower of the FANG names. Tesla getting bought. An anomaly, I think, for this moment, making it a mixed market here for the mega caps. Let's take a look here at the Dixie. Dixie marginally up 0.1% to the upside. Okay, bond yields making a move down. What does that mean? That means bonds are getting bought, not very aggressively. Not a single one of these yields on the left side of the decimal there. So not really telling us too much there are the bonds, but generally they are getting bought, right? They're getting bought as the yields come down. All right, so that's a quick snapshot of the market. We used to do that a lot here on the Investing Bros. We used to look at we had a market update, market pulse. I can't remember what it was called now. Your Bitcoin miners selling off, Mara leading lower, Hut 8 leading lower as well, down 3.7%. And then you have some of the degen coin picks here down as well, with Hello Token leading lower, down 10%. So it's fair to say that it's a crypto sell-off right now. It's a correction. I wouldn't call it a bloodbath. I wouldn't call it a crash. What I will note is you're not seeing a single crypto here in double-digit sell-off, right? All of these are remaining. Well, actually, Hello Token, right? But that's an extremely small cap crypto. So I'll exclude that from the analysis here. You're not seeing a top 20 crypto in double-digit sell-off. Let me know in the chat if I'm wrong. I don't have all of the top 20 coins here in my watch list. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. Okay, NASDAQ and S&P and Dow Jones all selling off. Dow Jones holding on the best, down only 0.1%. So folks are leaving security of the Dow at a lower rate than they're leaving the higher risk assets there in the NASDAQ and the S&P. But I would say that there's not much to deduce there. That's marginal differences. Overall, you are seeing a sell-off in risk assets. So I would ascribe probably maybe 20% of the bearishness here that we're seeing in crypto as just a symptom of the broader risk markets, right? The NASDAQ, the S&P are all selling off. So again, trying to paint with broad brushstrokes here, some context for you all. Let's check in on the chat. Before we do, I'd ask you please to go ahead and hit the like button. We have just unwrapped the gift here, unwrapped the package to analyze what is inside. If you go anywhere, you're going to miss the full analysis. All I've given you right so far is just some context from the charts and from some of the headlines here. So let's go to the chat. Let's see what's going on. How are people feeling? I'm gauging the tone. I'm gauging the content. Bitcoin Guru said, hit the like button. Anyone knows if Trust Wallet would be safe to leave crypto as hot wallet? I'm not exactly sure. Perhaps somebody can help answer that question down in the chat. I know that Trust Wallet's pretty safe. They have a pretty great record. Haven't heard much to the contrary. I'll say that. Whether or not it's a hot wallet, I'll leave to the chat to help answer, but I believe it is a hot wallet. So we'll see. Could be wrong on that, though. I don't really use Trust Wallet at all. Brian D said, I guess we know what CZ's cryptic 4 fingers he's been flashing for months was all about. Right, which is an allusion here to the $4 billion that Binance is now looking like they're going to have to fork over to the DOJ. We'll get to the details of this case here in just a few minutes, but we want to stay here in the chat. Matt C said, Brian getting paid. Brian must have made some money. Okay, Bedridden always coming in strong with some alpha. Let's see what Bedridden's got to say. Brian Armstrong, Americans should not have to go offshore unregulated exchange to benefit from this technology. Couldn't agree more. I assume that's a quote from Brian Armstrong. Don't know if that's 100% accurate, but usually Bedridden is very reliable. Bedridden also said this industry should be built right here in America in a compliant way under U.S. law. We're going to stay here in the U.S. So these must be live comments from Brian Armstrong. These are of note, right? Because one of the names that has been missing from this conversation, I'm really glad you brought that up, Bedridden, is Coinbase. Now, they have been the subject, obviously, of many SEC investigation, as well as CFTC, if I'm not mistaken. And they, but right now in this conversation, today is all about Kraken and Binance, right? They're the ones that are getting cracked down on, no pun intended. So where's Coinbase? Well, Bedridden, you've brought this quote to us, and I appreciate you doing that. So I wouldn't expect anything else. Obviously, Coinbase is a direct competitor to Binance and Kraken, but kind of signaling maybe that they're not, maybe not a moment of unity necessarily, but signaling to their users, hey, Coinbase, we're not going anywhere. We're not leaving America. And really more it's a signal to regulators, hey, what are you doing? America needs to be the place where crypto can incubate. Austin Patrick said, yo, I'm in class, but when I get out, I'm going to watch. Please talk about the inverse head and shoulders on ETH. Okay, let's do that really quickly because I'm probably going to forget. I'll do that real quick. Let's see if there's an inverse head and shoulders on ETH. Sharing my chart. You kind of have to zoom out pretty far to see this. I don't know what time scale you're talking about here. Perhaps if we go to the 4 hour, something might become a bit more clear. Let me know in the chat. Okay. No, I am seeing it now. Okay. Yeah, so on the 4 hour, you can see an inverse head and shoulders here, which would, that is a bullish indicator because a head and shoulders is a bearish indicator. Okay, so the way that this would play out, if I draw on this a little better, it should start here at the base of the left shoulder, right? Come up to the head, start the next shoulder, and then would come up, and then it would break out here. I don't know. I mean, that does look like an inverse head and shoulders to me. This is a strange time to try and be, drawing a technical pattern. And this is actually a good point, guys. Right now, the technicals matter, right? But it's kind of a question. Are the technicals driving the train of the crypto markets right now, or are the fundamentals? I would argue the fundamentals are clearly driving the train, and they're not really driving it too far from the station. Because if you take a look here at crypto prices, we're on the Ethereum chart, might as well stay on it. On the 4 hour, right? What is Ethereum doing? It's just treading water. It's come down, right, from its highs of yesterday up at above 2,000, right? It's come back down below 2,000, but it's really treading water. I mean, there's really not a whole, in crypto, if you don't expect this level of volatility, you probably should find something else to be interested in. No, don't leave crypto. I'm not saying that. But this is pretty par for the course, one would say. Let's return to the comments, and then I will go ahead and dive into the details here. Let's see. Gary C. said, my swing shorts I did last week may finally pay off. I was thinking I messed up with all the gains last week, but feeling better now. Okay. Yeah. Yep. So we got a swing trader here in the chat, Gary C. Yep, absolutely. So swing trading, what is the difference? Swing trading splits the difference between investing and trading, right? You're more than likely making purchases of assets for the long haul, gaining exposure to assets that are likely not going to be sold by yourself out of your portfolio for at least a year, right? Probably 2 to 3 years. Swing traders, okay, may be making a trade and planning to exit it a week later, a month later, right? Traders, someone who is trading, not swing trading or investing, right? Traders are trading on a daily basis. They are day traders, okay? Now, these are not set in stone terms, but I thought I'd help you all. As your noob, any noobs, first of all, like and subscribe. Second of all, realize that there are differences, okay? If someone's saying that they're investing, but they're sitting there and buying and selling in the same day, that's not investing, okay? And if someone's saying they're trading, but they're buying something and then selling it a year and a half later, that's not trading. Okay. Just so you know. And again, there's exceptions to those types of terms. They're just general terms that you'll see and hear thrown around in social media, in the news, and it's good to know. Eric Wallen said, I'm driving the train, baby. That's right. That's right, Eric. Eric is the one really driving the train, especially Cardano. ADAA said, ADA head and shoulders on the 4 hour. Def looks like big spider. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at that. And after this one, guys, we'll go ahead and jump into our stories. But this is ADA. Does it look like a head and shoulders? Yes, it does. I will draw that for you now. Shoulder 1. Oh, that is the line. Pardon me. Now it's going to go to Ethereum, and we are all kinds of mixed up here on the charts. Let's get back. Goodness gracious. Let's get back to it here. I'm going to draw this head and shoulders for you guys. You can see here. Shoulder 1, head, shoulder 2. And when you include this wick, especially on the 4 hour, I'm sure that's a filled out candle. When you include that wick, this is a pretty solid head and shoulders on Cardano. You hate to see it. Cardano down 2.7% in the chaos of the day. A modest loss for the decentralized coin Cardano. All right, guys, let's go ahead and break on into the news here. I am going to ask you to like this video, please. It helps out the algorithm. It supports the bros. And it just really, it puts a smile on my face, right? And I'll also ask you to subscribe, right? If you're new to crypto, maybe you're learning about Bitcoin for the first time. You've heard of it. You've heard some folks talking about Bitcoin, but it kind of seems like a scam, right? It doesn't make sense. How can someone buy money from the internet? I get it. But a lot of people who are very smart have invested in Bitcoin. Okay, that's a compelling reason, right? There's also a lot of people who are contributing to the inflation of the United States who don't like Bitcoin, right? The main reason why I like Bitcoin is because it's a non-inflationary asset, right? Whereas the US dollar, the euro, the yen, and the pound sterling are all inflationary, right? They have a non-zero rate of inflation to their underlying value and their purchasing power in the economy, much more importantly. Because the underlying value of a fiat currency is nothing, right? It's what you can exchange for it today. How many bananas was $1 equal? Well, here in North Central Florida, it equals 69 cents. One banana equals 69 cents. So just a little fun fact for you there. We'll keep moving here. Let's get into the stories. Now hold on tight. And if you're new to crypto, I'm going to have a message at the end of this live that you're going to want to hear. I don't think we're going to go the full hour here, guys. And there's also not going to be a factoid. Sorry, guys. No factoid today for the bros. Instead, I want you to tell me, are you traveling for Thanksgiving or not? If you're traveling, put a 1. If you're not traveling, put a 2 in chat. Let us know. We want to see. I know a lot of people have Thanksgiving brain now. You can see that people have vacated YouTube. The views are down all across crypto, but that's okay. We're still rocking out because we love it. We're the crypto nerds. All right, let's get into it here, guys. U.S. government criminally charges Binance with the following: conspiracy, conducting unlicensed money transmitting, and violating International Emergency Economic Powers Act. That is a big one. I don't know what the heck that means, but that sounds like something you'd have to pay your legal team a whole lot more to try to figure out. Because Binance has probably been sorting these two out quite a bit, right? The money laundering, the conspiracy's vague. That's probably going to be somewhat easy to make a argument for as a defendant. Violating International Emergency Economic Powers Act, that's going to be a tricky one, right? Lawyers are going to have to brush up on that, figure out what the heck it is, and who knows how they're going to combat that one. Let me know in the chat if you guys know anything more about that. I see Mellow Fellow smashed the like button. Can you imagine that? That is really good, and I appreciate that, Mellow Fellow. Hope you're doing good. Hope everybody in the chat's doing good. All right, let's keep moving here, guys. So that was from Binance, okay? This is from Jesse, the CEO of Kraken. Jesse said, get out of U.S. war zone. Kraken founder warns crypto firms after SEC action. Yes, the SEC has taken action against Kraken today, and it's not even our thumbnail, right? Jesse Powell is literally up to it. He is up to his neck in chaos right now. But he had this to say this morning. I covered it on the 9 a.m. show. We're going to cover it right now. Jesse Powell said USA's top D cell is back with another assault on America. The masochists haven't been happy with the beatings they've taken already in New York and are shopping for a different flavor of Reg Dom in California. I thought we settled all their concerns for $30 million back in February. Now they're back for seconds? ? So Jesse Powell vocalizing his frustrations there on one of your favorite apps, X. It's a chaotic day, guys. It is chaotic, and I'm trying to keep a calm and focused mind. Focused on what? Focused on buying. A little bit of foreshadowing of what might be to come later in this show. Going to talk about entry points, guys. Entry levels. That is the name of the game when there is FUD that the entire crypto space has been anticipating for weeks. Everybody has been saying prices are moving higher, up and to the right. Yes, there is ETF news that is pounding the market again and again and again. Delay, optimism, delay, optimism. It's almost every single week, right? Pumping the price of crypto higher and higher and higher. But we are still months from the halving of Bitcoin. And if you take a look at this chart, which I show often here on the Investing Bros channel, you can see that we still have months until we get to the halving. And what happens in the lead up to the halving? Crab market every time. As we transition from dark blue to dark purple in this chart, right before that halving, we just move sideways every time. Hopefully you can see that pretty well. Zoomed in a little bit more on that. So why does this matter? Because the entire crypto space has been anticipating a correction. Okay? Anticipating a correction, and now we're getting it. The biggest question has been, where's the FUD going to come from? A lot of folks, I think Tim was saying that it was going to come from the stable coins. Well, that was last week, right? Or it was actually yesterday, I think it was, that Tether had to freeze a bunch of assets, was ordered to freeze and executed that order to freeze assets of criminals, okay? Is that FUD? That really didn't FUD the market, right? It was attempted to, because people were, throwing up their hands. Oh no, my money could be frozen. Well, are you a criminal? No. And if you are, then you probably sold out of Tether and bought what? Probably Bitcoin, right? Or other truly decentralized currencies. Seeing some comments in the chat. Let's make sure we're keeping everything calm, right? That's the name of the game right now. Staying calm, cool, collected, and your finger on the buy button, okay? See, if you go over to the charts, we'll go over the charts really quickly as we continue through, just to check on the charts here. Cardano making a move lower here, but starting to get bought at the bottom band of the Bollinger Bands here, which is nice to see. Bitcoin, okay, has continues the struggle, as we can see here. Bitcoin continues the struggle here, just below the midline of the Bollinger Band and of this regression trend that I have drawn. Okay. So, as you can see, price is not selling off, but you are seeing folks with their finger on the sell button, right? Is that the right button to have your finger on when prices are moving lower? I'm not sure. Not based on the news I'm seeing, at least. Maybe they know something that we don't. Let's go ahead and get into the details of this story. So Kraken was brought into question this morning by the SEC, and now CZ steps down as Binance CEO as exchange pleads guilty. So let's read into the details here. It's a lot, so hang tight, but this is all the important details. Throughout 2023, Binance, the largest cryptocurrency exchange by trading volume, has been at the center of several legal battles, ranging from the SEC, the CFTC, to the DOJ. Okay, those are all the big ones. The DOJ is kind of the granddaddy of U.S. regulators. Okay, that's the Department of Justice. The exchange and its CEO have been accused of several law violations, including money laundering, fraud, and as we saw, conspiracy, and this other one, violating International Emergency Economic Powers Act. I'm going to leave that one alone for now because I don't know what that means. CZ pleads guilty to criminal charges on Tuesday, November 21st. CZ, that's today, resigned from his position as Binance's chief executive officer effective immediately. The resignation coincides with an imminent announcement from the DOJ regarding a proposed settlement of $4 billion. I've also seen $4.3 billion. So at least $4 billion resolution fee and a criminal probe. CZ is also expected to plead guilty to several criminal charges by the U.S. Department of Justice, the DOJ, including the violation of the U.S. anti-money laundering requirements. Okay, so this is really kind of getting to the heart of the matter, the crux of the matter. Many of you already know this, but for those of you who don't, that is what's going on. Okay, that is what is sending people to put their finger over the sell button and click it, right? That is it. Now, what I will say is that this is new. This is new, right? It's never good when a CEO steps down. It's never good that day because nobody knows the true intent, no matter what that CEO says the intent is. But as we saw in the case of Michael Saylor, when he stepped down from MicroStrategies, nothing bad happened, right? It was just a regime change. That's probably not a great way to characteristic. It was just a role change. That's the right word. A role change, not a regime change. MicroStrategies is under the same regime that is very simply buying as much Bitcoin as humanly possible, or as corporately possible in their case. All right, so those are the details. But here's something you're probably not going to see on any other channel, which is this. An article from July 27th, 2001, where something very similar to what we're seeing in the headlines today occurred. And that is, Binance CEO says he's willing to step down as world's biggest crypto exchange welcomes regulation. Again, this headline is from 2021, but it may shed some light on what we're seeing today. Okay, Binance, and this is, by the way, this is from CNBC. Okay, just so you're making sure. For those who are keeping score at home, Binance CEO CZ says he's willing to step down from his role as cryptocurrency exchange seeks to become a regulated financial institution. Well, clearly, since 2001, the Binance has went in a different direction, one could say. Okay, and now CZ is actually taking the action that he said he would in 2021. Now, is this action because Binance is being forced to become regulated? Are they going to be forced to headquarter in the United States or somewhere where the U.S. has jurisdiction or has allies? Right, that's kind of the question here. Okay, they had a plan in 2021 for him to step down, for CZ to do what he said he's doing today, what he has done today. He has resigned. That is official. He's not saying he's going to resign. He has resigned from Binance. Okay, but he also said he was going to do that back in 21. At least he floated the idea in order to keep the exchange open, right? In order to enter into a new chapter for Binance where they are regulated. Okay. Something changed. They didn't go down that path. And now it looks like CZ is being forced to resign, okay, from his role as CEO. We don't know what is coming next. We saw this week with Sam Altman. Right? Things can change very rapidly when you are the star of the show. And over at Microsoft, Sam Altman is the biggest name since Bill Gates himself, right? So Sam Altman got immediately absorbed into the institution that is ultimately OpenAI, within Microsoft. Okay, that's a whole other complicated thing in and of itself, but it's very similar to what we're seeing today. And especially if you look at it continually through the lens of what happened over at MicroStrategies, this could be just a role change. And that is what the market seems to be pricing in. Let's go ahead and check again. I've got Matic pulled up, so don't look at that necessarily. But Binance, the market is pricing in a role change, right? Now, $4 billion is much more than a role change. And I would say that this is probably not adequately priced yet, meaning I think that there's probably more room to the downside, unfortunately, for Binance Coin, right? But they haven't written that check for $4 billion quite yet. They're probably going to be able to countersue, right? I don't know. Personally, though, I'm not in any way exposed to Binance Coin. I don't own Cake. I used to. I don't own Binance. I definitely used to. A correction, I actually have like maybe $20 in Binance for gas fees for some wallets, right, that I use. So I have a little bit, but it's chump change, literally. Okay, Army Piper in the chat saying, shout out to T-Shroom, doing my afternoon check-in on my Texas trip. Yes, that's right. Army is on the move. He's driving to Houston right now, so he's checking in and getting the download, getting the scoop, and I hope that he's smashing the like, just like you did, listening to the sound of my voice, and I really appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it. All right, let's keep moving, though, guys, because there's a decent amount more details here. So, 2021, CZ actually said that he would do something similar to what's happening today, okay? And that was to become compliant, to once and for all be regulated. But back in 2021, making that decision wouldn't have benefited Binance, because we've seen what they've done. We've seen what the SEC, with the CFTC, and what the DOJ have done, is they've just kept bombarding Coinbase, now Kraken, and Crypto.com, and almost every exchange that has sought to become compliant in the United States. They have still come after them. The stable coins. So Binance ultimately didn't make the worst decision by not trying to actually become compliant, right? Clearly they went in a different direction since their original plan in 2021, not the original plan, but their plan from that year. And now we're seeing what happened, right? Can you blame them? It seems like they made the right decision. Now the Piper's coming to call, and they're going to have to pay up, it looks like $4 billion, and I think they've agreed to pay that. So I wanted to bring you guys one more iteration of this headline, right? This is from CNBC. So this is what the mainstream eyes are seeing, and this is what's going to play into my conclusion here. Cryptocurrencies dip as investors digest regulatory updates from industry heavyweights Binance and Kraken. Okay, so that is the messaging going out to Wall Street in the context of this headline: Javier Milei wins presidential race in Argentina decisively, and within the context of you going to eat turkey in 2 days with people who have a lot of money. Right? That's the context. And this is why I have my finger on the buy button for crypto, not the sell button. Because as much as this looks like it's going to suck for Binance, and it looks like it's going to suck for CZ, right? These guys know what they've signed up for. Brian Armstrong, Jesse Powell, these guys are doing something that you and I probably couldn't do, just frankly. Now, maybe you're listening to this and you are, the leader of a crypto exchange that's constantly getting bombarded by regulators. Then kindly pardon me, right? But for the majority of us who are just, technical enthusiasts, maybe libertarians, or just fans of the coin, we are probably not capable of doing what these folks have done, right? So they're going to be okay. Now, Do Kwon wasn't okay, right? Sam Bankman's not okay, but those are scoundrels. Whereas from everything that I've observed, CZ is not a scoundrel. Brian Armstrong, not a scoundrel. I know a lot less about Jesse Powell, but, Kraken's been through bear markets, right? So who knows how this cookie actually crumbles in terms of what these guys have or haven't been up to when it comes to money laundering, right? Or nefarious use of these exchanges. We don't know, right? We just don't know. But they're on our side, right? They're on our side. And ultimately, guys, I'm thinking that buying here, not even here, honestly, I think prices could continue to move lower, right? And I'm still buying. That's where I want to buy. We have been saying in the crypto community for weeks, where is the FUD? Where is the FUD? When are these prices going to correct? Bitcoin, 35. That's where people want to buy it. Bitcoin, 33, 32, 30,000. That's where people want to buy Bitcoin. Who wants to buy it there? You and I do, right? People who've been in crypto for a while, they want to buy it lower. We kind of got blindsided a few weeks ago when Bitcoin was putting in a multi-week head and shoulders pattern that should have sold off, okay? We got blindsided then because then the price just rocketed higher for Bitcoin, okay? You know, it happens. That's fine. Folks were adequately exposed. That sucked, okay? But now the price has just gone up and up and up for Bitcoin and many other cryptocurrencies, right? And so folks want a better entry. Now it's you and I, but it's also the institutions, right? The institutions are clearly opening a new chapter of their relationship with crypto. When I say institutions, I mainly mean, right, the BlackRocks, the Fidelities, the Invescos, the ARK Invests, and maybe even JP Morgan, although they're playing quite coy with the crypto markets. Right, these folks have opened the door, they've opened the windows, and they are shouting from the rooftop. They're about to be shouting from the rooftops, go buy Bitcoin. You've heard whispers of it, right? You've seen some very calculated comments from Larry Fink. You know, flight to quality comes to mind when referring to Bitcoin. Okay, but ultimately these folks have their finger automated on top of the Bitcoin buy button, right? The institutions want to buy so bad, but they have been in the markets for a long time, a very long time. The lessons that they've learned are timeless, literally probably originally learned in Babylon. We won't get into that, but if it wasn't Babylon, it was probably the London exchanges, right? Or maybe the tulip exchanges in the Netherlands, okay? These institutions have been playing the games that we are now learning to play for a long time. Robinhood brought commissionless trading. TD Ameritrade brought trading to your lap in your living room, right? And now crypto is bringing a whole new opportunity. And the opportunity is to utilize the skills of trading in a hyper-volatile new asset class. That is crypto. Some of you listening to the sound of my voice have taken advantage of that opportunity, and you know very well that buying, the buy button, is the button that you want your finger hovering over in this scenario, right? Now, T-Shroom, would you tell me if I should have my finger on the sell button? What is your interest here? What is my interest? I am heavily exposed to crypto, right? However, would I tell you to sell? In the Discord, I say whether or not I'm buying and selling on a daily basis, okay? So the bros who are in the Investing Bros Discord, which there is a link for the free Discord in the description, they know if I'm buying or selling. Yes, Petish Room, would you say it live on the show? Would you say you're selling on the show? I would. I would say whether or not I'm selling Bitcoin live on the show. And in fact, I anticipate doing that. I anticipate telling you all when I'm selling Bitcoin. In 2025, when I'm taking some profits, right? But until then, there's really not a lot of headlines that could come out that would make me sell specifically my Bitcoin. Now, crypto is a little bit of a different story, but Bitcoin, you'd have to see some headlines like Bitcoin blockchain hacked, right? And that headline would need to be on CNBC or CBS or BBC.com, right? I would, if I saw it on the Decrypts and the coin desks of the world, I would probably be pretty rocked as well. But I would need to see it go mainstream. That's just me, right? But short of those types of headlines, my finger is poised above the buy button. Why? You should know. Honestly, you should know. But stick around in crypto a bit longer, educate yourself a little more about what Bitcoin is all about, and you will soon feel the same way that I do and so many other crypto bros do. Bitcoin is the future of currency, okay? We are able to front run the banks here. The banks, what are they doing, right? At first, they ignored Bitcoin, okay? Then they feared Bitcoin, but they couldn't do anything about it, trying to lobby Congress to ban it, realizing you can't ban this currency. And the only ones who've been effective in doing that is China. And what's the difference between China and the rest of the world? The Chinese are communists, okay? And they have specifically engineered their internet infrastructure since the beginning to be controllable. It was a top-down infrastructure build, is their internet infrastructure in China. Okay, the rest of the world, it was all private companies like Verizon, okay, AT&T, telecoms. Okay, these are the entities that engineered the internet infrastructure for the rest of the world, as it should be, right? Of course, the government's had a say, and of course, there's varying levels of degrees of controllability of the internet around the world. However, the only country that's been effective, and even they are pretty bad at it, effective at banning Bitcoin is China. Okay, so the banks learn that you can't ban it. So what do? Right? You ignore it, you fear it, and then what? You join it. And that's what we're seeing. They're launching ETFs. Now, I don't see that as a malevolent thing. I don't see it purely as a bad thing. There are going to be some negative outcomes for Bitcoin. However, with that ETF launch, however, they're joining it, right? And the larger point is that the context is that these institutions want Bitcoin to come down. They have an incentive for Bitcoin's price to come down. Okay, but they recognize, just as much as everyone else, that Bitcoin is the future. It's not going anywhere. It can't go anywhere, right? I hope that you're starting to see why my finger is on the buy button and not the sell button here. And it really isn't even on either button. It's on the hold button because prices are not really coming down right now, right? If you're listening to the sound of my voice, you probably have a good amount of fear today, right? You've seen what's going on in the market and you've said, oh, this is a little scary. This is a little, I don't know what's going on here. Should I buy into this? It seems like the prices are going down today. They're really not. I mean, Polygon's down like 7%. HBAR's down like 7, almost 8%, right? These are not that scary of numbers, guys, right? These are repricings of, honestly, overbuying. That's what we in crypto have been saying for a while. So these assets are probably overbought, right, in anticipation for the Ethereum, the Bitcoin spot ETFs that are coming out. Okay, so I don't need to say this point again and again and again. You've heard me say it. I'm buying here. I'm not selling here. I don't see anything in the news that's really all that shocking. What would shock me from here, right, is if CZ himself came out and said there was some kind of structural insecurity with Bitcoin, with crypto, right? That would have me probably questioning some things because he's been around for a long time and he has no interest in saying something like that, right? But all that we have seen is so many steps removed from that. All that we have seen is something that Michael Saylor did earlier this year, which is step down from CEO. Okay, we've also seen criminal charges levied against Binance and CZ, and it's looking like those are going to be going through. Okay, but all that is, in my opinion, is just FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I say FUD a lot, and I don't clarify what that even means. Sorry, but yeah, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's just trying to pump the price lower for the banks, for the institutions to get in better price on Bitcoin, the future gold, the future most valuable thing, right? Digital real estate. The banks want in because they've been missing the boat, right? They're bringing the boat back, as Tim likes to say. So let's go to the chat. Let's see what's going on here. Hopefully I'm bringing, an optimistic note to your day here. ADAA says, we ride. I like it. ADA said, join us. Absolutely, join us. It's a great community here. We're very positive, and there's a lot going on. There are many content creators, as you may have noticed, in the YouTube space. Investing Bros is just one of them. But we collaborate with a lot of really cool minds in the crypto space, and we're here for all kinds of different reasons. Bedridden said, Eric, I'm reading it, LOL. He appointed Richard Tang as CEO. Okay, so there seems to be an appointment for the new CEO, Richard Tang. Not going to try to dig into that one too much, but there's the name, guys. You can go research for yourself. Thank you, Bedridden, for dropping in some news. That seems to be breaking as we're here towards the end of the show. We've almost gone the full hour. Eric said, hey, Piper. Eric said, CZ just posted a statement on X 54 seconds ago. Okay, fine. Let's go ahead and check it out. I'll pull it up here. Thank you, Eric Wallen. It takes a village, guys. It really does take a community. I typed in ZC. That's not the right way to spell CZ. I spelled it wrong. The only way that you could... Okay, here we go. CZ has said 54 seconds ago, now 14 minutes ago. Today I stepped down as CEO. Binance, admittedly, it was not easy to let go emotionally. So Eric, I'm not seeing the thing posted in the last minute. I'm reading it LOL. Let's see if he maybe commented on this post. But this is a long post. Okay, so he's talking about Richard Tang. Okay, so this is probably it. Let's see. Oh, wow. This is quite clarifying. Thank you guys for bringing this to my attention. Let's go ahead and read this. Today, this is the words of the former CEO of Binance, long Bitcoin and crypto advocate, CZ. This is a tweet from basically real time. Today, I stepped down as CEO of Binance. Admittedly, it was not easy to let go emotionally, but I know it is the right thing to do. I made mistakes, and I must take responsibility. This is best for our community, for Binance, and for myself. Binance is no longer a baby. It is time for me to let it walk and run. Man, I know Binance will continue to grow and excel with the deep bench it has. I'm pleased to announce that Richard Tang, our now former global head of regional markets, has been named the new CEO of Binance today. So let's see if X will give me some information here on Richard Tang. Let's see this bio. We'll come back to the rest of this statement. Richard Tang, head of regional markets, former CEO of Financial Services Regulatory Authority, ADGM. That is what country's regulator? So a former regulator of Dubai, of the Abu Dhabi global market, which is, in my opinion, the international foremost leader in being what everybody wants to be, except the U.S., the hub for crypto. Let's keep reading. Richard is a highly qualified leader and with over 3 decades of financial services and regulatory experience. He will navigate the company through its next period of growth. He will ensure Binance delivers on our next phase of security, transparency, compliance, and growth. Like this video, guys. Prior to joining Binance, Richard was CEO of the financial... Okay, so we could have just kept reading. He was the CEO of the Financial Services Regulatory Authority, Abu Dhabi Global Markets, ADGM, Chief Regulatory Officer of the Singapore Exchange. Wow, okay, so he's been around, not just Abu Dhabi, and Director of Corporate Finance in the Monetary Authority of Singapore. Okay, so that's clarifying. He's from the East. He's not a Western figure. However, he has worked for some of the biggest Eastern financial regulators that I know of, right? So none of these are Chinese. These are Singaporean and Abu Dhabi institutions. Singapore, I may be making that word up. Sorry, Singapore fans. With Richard and the entire team, I'm confident that the best days for Binance and the crypto industry lay ahead. As a shareholder and former CEO with historical knowledge of our company, I will remain available to the team to consult as needed, consistent with the framework set out in our U.S. agency resolutions. Okay. What's next for me? I will take a break first. I have not had a single day of real phone-off break for the last 6.5 years. I can only imagine. I told you guys, these people are different, right? It takes a lot, especially to be at the level of CZ. It takes a lot to be the leader of most, multi-million-dollar corporations, but especially one that's constantly being bombarded by regulators. It takes a lot. After that, my current thinking is I will probably do some passive investing, being a minority token shareholder in startups in areas of blockchain, Web3, DeFi, AI, and biotech. I am happy that I will finally have more time to spend looking at DeFi. Fascinating. Our factoid of yesterday was actually what industry did CZ work in before he created Binance. He was a high-frequency trading software engineer or producer of some kind, right? So that's where he's coming from. Very, very interesting. Eric Wallen, thank you so much. Now he's shouting out CAS. We might have to look at CASPA price before we finish this, but let's continue this message here. I can't see myself being a CEO driving a startup again. I am content. Yeah, I can see why. I am content being a one-shot lucky entrepreneur Should there be listeners, I may be open to being a coach, mentor to a small number of up-and-coming entrepreneurs privately. If for nothing else, I can at least tell them what not to do. Okay. On that note, I am proud to point out that in our resolution with the U.S. agencies, they did not allege that Binance misappropriated any user funds. Very nice. And did not allege that Binance engaged in any market manipulation. Okay, so that's basically saying that indeed the anti-money laundering international guidelines were not kept. Okay, so that's basically an admission there that anti-money laundering, they were a money launderer, basically. Binance is a money launderer. In my reading of this message, that is a full admission that he himself knew and abetted money laundering, which would make sense here for the context of this moment. Funds are safe. With that, I look forward to seeing the new leadership take the reins. Please join me in congratulating Richard on his well-deserved promotion. Folks, if this isn't reminiscent of this story here from 2021, this headline, Binance CEO says he's willing to step down as world's biggest crypto exchange welcomes regulation. I don't know what is, and I'm glad that I brought that article to you all. Okay, so the plot thickens. Thank you, Eric Wallen and Bedridden, for bringing that tweet to my attention. It's very important to know that here as we wrap up this show, that it is more complicated than we thought. So then the question is, T. Shroom, are you going to sell now? No, because this is probably what he should have done back in 2021, back when this article was on CNBC, right? When he said he was going to do this. Now, his tone in that tweet was quite different from what we've seen from other CEOs who have been forced to make decisions that may be counter to their interests. So I would say that he's probably not looking at too much time in prisons. I say prisons because he's quite an international guy. But I would imagine here it's probably going to be writing a check to several regulators and doing what he said he's going to be doing, participating in private equity, right, for Web3, which a lot of money in that, obviously. Not going to be doing a startup. So T-Shroom, are you selling or are you buying or are you holding on this news? I'm holding. I think that there could be some more downside, right, as the market digests this through the rest of the week. But what also is the rest of this week is Thanksgiving. Folks want to tune out. Okay, so there may be some abrupt downside as folks just say, hey, I want out. I will come back. We'll revisit this. Obviously, crypto is the future, but I want to revisit this next week. Before we head into Christmas, the Christmas holidays here in the United States and North America and Europe, let's get through Thanksgiving and we'll regroup. That's probably the general attitude of most big money bags in the markets right now. So I would say we're probably not going to see a move outside of this regression trend. If we do, that is exciting because I'm going to buy, but that may start to strike fear into the hearts of some, right? So be careful, guys. This is also only halfway through the week. So if the SEC has some more stuff up their sleeve, if old Gary behind the rings of the FUD machine has something more to say, then that could spook the markets further. But as of right now, I got to say, there's definitely some more events to unfold. Binance has some big checks to write, but they're probably doing what they should have done in 2001, which is removing CZ, who has made some mistakes, right? He said, who knows what those mistakes are and how much you and your grandmother would disapprove of them. Who knows how unethical they are. If it's just money laundering, which is very bad, then he may be forgiven. But I think that if he was doing, I don't think it's a shock to anyone that Binance was knowingly facilitating money laundering. I think that's kind of the smoking gun here, right? That's what's going to be driving the train of these guilty pleas, right? And of these court hearings and ultimately of what could happen next to Binance. I don't know what's going to happen next, but it looks like they've just appointed this regulator who has worked and led some of the biggest regulatory agencies in the East, right? So this might be not smooth sailing for them here on out, but they're taking the correct steps that they need to take. And unfortunately, that means removing CZ, who is beloved in the crypto community. By most, I should say. By most. Definitely not by all, by any means, but by most. And, it looks like he probably is going to have to run some PR campaigns, to say the least. Let's put it there. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. What do you think about all this? Am I wrong? Should people be selling right now? Are they going to lose all their money? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen here. Guys, we have a free Discord where the conversation never ends. I'm about to sign off, but the conversation continues in the Discord. That's free. You can go into the description of this very video right now, okay, and you can sign up for free with that Discord. If you already have a Discord account, it's just as easy as getting onto any other server. It's very, very easy. And if you're finding this channel for the very first time and you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on everything crypto. We go live on weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, I go live at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we also put out a technical analysis only video at 8:30 with my partner who did not join me today for the video. Guys, for the rest of this week, there will be no content. Tim and I may make some more videos, but it's all going to be in the Discord. Everything's going to be in the Discord from here on out for this week. Next week, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming. If you are shocked by that, that's because you don't know what Thanksgiving is, and that's okay because we do have an international audience. Thanksgiving, let me paint a picture for you. Here in the United States, everybody goes and gathers around with their family. You can go educate yourself further on what Thanksgiving is, but it's like most, religious holidays. It's not a religious holiday, but it's like that in that families travel, they come together, they eat a meal, other things happen, cultural things, and then they leave, right? That's about it. So that's what you can think about for our international audience. That's what's going on for Thanksgiving. That does take everybody kind of off the map, though. It takes a lot of people offline, including Tim and I, who are family men, right? We've got our families that we want to spend time with, and that's why. There's no other reason. We're not scared and hiding or anything like that. It's just Thanksgiving, guys. It's Thanksgiving week. We want to spend it with our family and with our God, giving thanks. And I encourage you to do the same, right? Even if you don't live in America where this is the week you carve out some time to do that intentionally, maybe you do it wherever you are. Maybe you're in Angola. Maybe you're in Zimbabwe. Maybe you're in Estonia. Maybe you're down in Argentina where the party is still raging on. Man, it's been a day. It's been a week. And I really appreciate you all coming along with me on this journey through this episode. We went over. Of course we went over. I said we might not even get through the whole hour, but of course we went over. I've seen a lot of folks in the chat. Shane O said, Janet Yellen can't even pronounce Binance. Yeah, so she must have said some comments. Polo said, love Platypus Cyberpunk's first fractionalized real estate on Cardano. An excellent example of people who are going to try to pull you in to further layers of the crypto world, right? The rabbit holes in crypto go very, very far. Now, Platypus Cyberpunks, I know nothing about. I know that Cardano is a pretty good chain. I have no idea about the Platypus Cyberpunks. Fractionalized real estate, probably not something that I would end up buying, ultimately. However, there are many different avenues in crypto for you to go get involved. Mark said, wow, stop hiding, T-Shroom. Appreciate that from you. Polo said, okay, so Polo seems to be providing a lot of insights on different projects that maybe nobody knows about or even cares about. Crypto Manybike said, any info on PYTH was released yesterday. That is not something I'm following either. ADAA said, talk about the NFTs behind you. Yes, I believe they're all CNFTs, meaning that they're on Cardano, except for the Dogecoin, obviously. All right, guys, I am thoroughly exhausted. It has been quite a day getting my head around all of these stories, these narratives, and the whims of the regulators that are attempting to control this revolution in the future of finance. I've been T-Shroom in for the Investing Bros. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit the likes on the way out. Consider subscribing. And know that we're not making any more content for the rest of the week, but we'll be alive and well down in the Discord, chatting about what's to come. We hope that you join us. Bye.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing pros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor, the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Tryna make paper. Turn that batter to cake. Money like Lego. Connect the dots that bank. We are investing pros. We are investing bros.